Live from the tank on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet welcomes you into NCAA Division II women's basketball coverage, streaming exclusively on Flow College. In the front half of our East Coast Conference doubleheader, the College of Staten Island Dolphins take on the Wildcats of Daemen University. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, and I was originally scheduled to be joined by Nicholas Bavona on the call today. Unfortunately, Nick got into a car accident on the way here. He is okay, but his car sustained some damage, and he will not be able to make it in time to join me for today's game. So we wish Nick all the best, and hopefully he gets everything sorted out. He is okay, but will not be on the broadcast today. So I will be solo for today's doubleheader between the Dolphins and the nationally ranked Daemen University Wildcats. And this Dolphins team comes in having lost back-to-back games entering today's matchup. And as we kick off the McDonald's pregame show, we're going to take a look at where that puts the Dolphins in terms of the conference standings. And without putting it up on the screen, I have the ECC standings in front of me. And right now, Daemen a perfect 11-0 in the ECC, followed by Mercy at 9-1. So those two teams right now, the clear-cut 1 and 2 in the ECC. Behind them, the standings a bit more crowded. Malloy is currently in third in the conference at 6-4. Deauville in fourth at 6-5, following a win over the College of Staten Island here at the Tank on Friday night. Both the Dolphins and the Spartans of St. Thomas Aquinas College come into the day at 4-7. They occupy the 5 and 6 seeds right now. The Dolphins are listed ahead of Stack, so the tiebreaker right now, I would have to go through each team that they've faced already this year, but those two teams head-to-head split the two games. So the Dolphins and Spartans, both 4-7 on the year right now. They are the 5 and 6. UDC at 3-7, Queens at 3-8, and Roberts Wesleyan at 1-8, rounding out the conference standings. So for the Dolphins today, this game, undoubtedly an important one. It cannot knock them out of the playoffs, though, with UDC having played one less game. If the Dolphins fall to 4-8, that tightens things up just a bit with UDC at 3-7. The Dolphins and Firebirds will meet 6 days from today here at the Tank. So this game does have some seeding implications for the Dolphins, but not exactly a must-win game yet. We mentioned it during our last broadcast. The Dolphins wrap up their schedule with 3 of their final 4 games coming against teams that are in the bottom half of the conference standings. They face UDC, Queens, and Roberts Wesleyan during their last 4 games. They also face Malloy, a team that has already beaten them this year. But as I mentioned before, the Dolphins faced Deauville University here at the Tank on Friday night, and they spent nearly that entire game playing from behind. And it's going to be important today that they aren't playing catch-up against a Wildcats team that earned a decisive win against them earlier this season. And for the Dolphins, much of that starts at the defensive end. Daemen shot at least 50% in each of the first 2 quarters when they faced the Dolphins in Amherst earlier this season. And the Dolphins likely will not be able to afford chasing an early deficit here in today's game. The Dolphins will definitely have to be a bit more efficient than they were in the first meeting as well. And in that game, no Dolphin had more than 3 made field goals. That's quite hard to believe. And late in the second quarter of that game against the Wildcats is where Daemen really began to pull away, and that was due in large part to CSI turnovers. The Dolphins turned the ball over 21 times in the game against the Wildcats, and Daemen won that one handily as they knocked off the Dolphins at home earlier this season. The Dolphins get a second crack at it against the Wildcats here on their home floor this afternoon. But when these two teams met for the first time, I mentioned it, the Dolphins really let the game get away late in the first half. They were close for much of the first 20 minutes, but a late surge by the Wildcats before halftime helped them build a double-digit lead at the break. And there were some Wildcats that made it a very tough matchup for the Dolphins in that game, especially at the defensive end for CSI. The Dolphins certainly will have to adjust just a bit coming into this game. And as we've said more than once this year, size does give the Dolphins some problems. Navia Buntley and Claire Pikett combined for 39 points in that first meeting. And if you add Kylie Chapman to that duo, the 3 combined for 19 rebounds in that matchup with the Dolphins. And in terms of adjustments, I think a lot of it will need to come at the defensive end, and the Dolphins will have to be well schemed when it comes to their switches defensively, and Coach Sarkone is going to have to find a way to match up that gives her players the best chance to succeed defensively. If the Dolphins can find a way to do that, you'd have to believe that they can limit the efficiency of this Wildcats team just a bit. As I mentioned how well Daemen shot in the first meeting, but that's easier said than done in terms of scheming those switches and finding the best matchups for your players at the defensive end of the floor, especially when they are outsized, as the Dolphins have been many times this season. That trio of players that I just mentioned in Buntley, Chapman, and Pikett all stand at least 5'10". Pikett, of course, a 6-footer, a player who is closing in on 1,000 career points as well. She would need 24 in the game today. So the Dolphins, of course, don't want to see that happen. And if it does, it would be hard to imagine the Dolphins coming away with the win. But we'll see if the Dolphins can make adjustments at the defensive end of the floor. It is going to be a must entering this matchup as they look to snap a 2-game losing skid. Meanwhile, we are closing in on the introduction of starting lineups here at the Tank. So we will step aside and take a quick break right here. When we come back, we take a look at Friday's game against D'Youville as part of our Buffalo Wild Wings Game Rewind. That is coming up after this break. Joe Foreman back with you from the College of Staten Island as we get set for the introduction of starting lineups and opening tip-off in today's East Coast Conference women's basketball matchup between the College of Staten Island Dolphins and Daemen University. However, before we introduce the starters, we have our Buffalo Wild Wings Game Rewind and a look back at Friday night's matchup between the Dolphins and the D'Youville University Saints. The Dolphins falling on their home floor in that game. But here's a look at some highlights from that matchup. As you look at Kyra Rose get inside, she's been so good around the basket all season. And speaking of good, Dana Phelan in this game shot it extremely well from downtown, knocked down 5 threes. That the first of those 5. She was 5 of 10 from beyond the arc as Raki Kane hits the spinning jump shot as well. And here you see some good Dolphins ball movement to find Stitchy Barnes underneath the basket. So the Dolphins move the ball pretty well. Phelan shooting from downtown again, did some good things from beyond the arc. Here you see her connect on another three-pointer. This time she feeds Kane, relocates to the right corner, and knocks down another 3 as Kane showing off the quick hands, able to strip that ball away. She gets out in transition and converts through the contact and 1. Kane and the Dolphins trail by 8 early third quarter, and Phelan knocks down another 3. That basket counted and the foul. So Phelan continuing her hot shooting even through contact, and that time she gets to the basket. Phelan did a lot well at the offensive end, but late in the third, the Dolphins still trailing by double digits as Stitchy Barnes makes it a 10-point game with that jumper. Here's Barnes with it in her hands once again. She finds Juliana Ditto for the pull-up, and once again the Dolphins trying to battle back to within single digits. They get to within 9 right here as a nice step-through move by Shanye Edmonds makes it a 9-point game. Kane throws one up and in to cut the lead for D'Youville to 13, but unfortunately that is as close as the Dolphins would get the rest of the way in that game as they went on to fall to D'Youville here on their home floor. That, of course, was our Buffalo Wild Wings Game Rewind. You can visit Buffalo Wild Wings even on this Super Bowl Sunday at 1447 Richmond Avenue, right around the corner from us here at the College of Staten Island. We spent our post game there on Friday night. And if you want to pick up some wings ahead of the Super Bowl, they're a great spot to check out. Buffalo Wild Wings to go, a staple of my rotation, at least once a week when I can afford it. And that's not in terms of price, that's in terms of calories. We have to make sure we keep the eating in check. But Buffalo Wild Wings, good stuff. Check them out right around the corner from the College of Staten Island on Richmond Avenue. With the clock about to hit 0, we are right on time for the playing of the national anthem and the introduction of starting lineups. We will step aside here, and when we come back, tip-off between the Dolphins and Wildcats coming up here on CSI Sportsnet, as always, streaming exclusively on Flow College. Joe Foreman back with you from the College of Staten Island as we are closing in on tip-off between the College of Staten Island Dolphins and the Daemen University Wildcats. The Wildcats come in ranked number 13 in the country with a record of 18-2 and a perfect 11-0 mark in conference play. Starters for the Wildcats have already been introduced. Those starters are 0, Navia Buntley, number 1, Kylie Campbell, number 21, Julia Fontanillo, number 25, Claire Pikett, and number 33, Sophia Auer. Starting lineup for the Dolphins is the regular starting 5. Number 1, Stitchie Barnes, number 3, Shanye Edmonds, number 4, Kyra Rose, number 5, Raki Kane, and number 10, Dana Phelan. And this Dolphins team, having lost back-to-back games, hungry for a win on their home floor here today, but they have a tough test in front of them against a Wildcats team that they met in the conference championship last year. We said it when I called the game in Amherst the first time these two teams met. This Dolphins team looks very different from the team that met Daemen in the ECC championship last year, but if the Dolphins are going to be a serious contender come playoff time, this is a game that they're going to have to be competitive in. It's the second half of a 2-game weekend trip for Daemen. They have to travel from up in Amherst all the way down to New York City for a couple of games in 3 days, and you have to think that the team hosting in that situation has the advantage. That advantage belonged to the Wildcats in the first matchup. That advantage certainly belonging to the Dolphins here today, as they are the home side in this ECC conference matchup. So we're just moments away from the start of today's game. I am your scoreboard operator, replay coordinator, play-by-play commentator, and broadcast producer. So a lot going on. Our camera operator today is Patrick Fleming. Pat Gialorenzo not on camera for maybe the second time in the last 3 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, 4 seasons. He's been our camera operator just about every single game since I became the athletic communications coordinator. He has Super Bowl Sunday off. As opening tip goes to the Dolphins, Rose straight to the basket, finishes with the left hand. A quick 2 points for Kyra Rose, and the Dolphins lead it 2-0. We said it during our last broadcast. As Rose goes, so go the Dolphins, especially at the offensive end, as that three-pointer was short. But the offensive board taken in by Auer. Her second try won't go. Third try, no good. And the fourth goes down for Buntley. What a sequence to start this game for the Wildcats. Not sure if our 30-second replay window captured all of it. This is Barnes. Briefly lost the handle on the attempted crossover. She's doubled. She's stripped. And Pikett has it. Phelan defending at the rim. And Pikett lays it in. Daemen in front, 4-2 now, following the Dolphins' turnover, and I highlighted that during the pregame. The Dolphins have to do a better job protecting the basketball. Edmonds feeds Barnes. Barnes drives and draws the foul. Foul on Pikett will be her first and the team's first. That will send Stitchie Barnes to the line. And the first free throw is good. Second free throw by Barnes, short, and rebounded by Buntley. Fontanillo with it, sends it into the corner. Pikett right back outside. Pikett now looks to drive baseline against Rose. Dangerous pass does reach Auer. Her three is short. Rose has the rebound up ahead to Phelan, and that's another Dolphins turnover. You hate to turn it over a couple of times early in the game, but I think generally that's one you're okay with, trying to play a bit faster, as the rebound was tipped out to Auer by Rose. And now Buntley's three is too strong. Edmonds with the board. But I think you're okay with that one because you're trying to play a bit faster, generate some fast break opportunities. The pass just a bit too long for Phelan, but I think the idea is one that you're okay with. Barnes finds an open Kane for the jumper. And Racky Kane has her first points. Dolphins lead at 5-4. Fontanillo uses a pair of screens up top. Nearly carried. And Pikett's lay-in won't go with the left hand. She's a bit frustrated. The Dolphins have numbers. And Barnes gets inside, can't finish. Dolphins were effectively 5-on-4 there. Pikett, I don't know if she was walking up the floor gingerly or just frustrated, as Fontanillo's three won't go. And Kane tracks it down in the corner. 3 minutes gone by. Dolphins lead at 5-4. Barnes calling for a screen. And Kane tried to slip off the screen as the official's whistle is in the midst of a malfunction. You don't see that too often. But we have a whistle malfunction and a foul called on Buntley. That whistle is going to need substitution here. Meanwhile, here's a look at the opening basket in the game. Kyra Rose with a nice move, going from right to left, high off glass with the left hand. Dolphins inbound from the baseline. Kane with it, 18 on the shot clock. She hands off to Phelan. Phelan uses the Edmonds screen. Now sends it over to Rose. Rose for Edmonds, deep two. Off the back rim, no good. Kane with the rebound, backing in. Finds Barnes. Barnes drives again, throws up a wild shot, but Edmonds has the putback. Shanye Edmonds on the offensive glass. Converts on the putback, and the Dolphins now lead it by 3. Fontanillo defended by Phelan, gets by and cannot finish. And the Dolphins nearly turned it over again. Now they have numbers. Kane open. And her jumper is good. The Dolphins playing with some nice pace right now. And as I mentioned during the pregame, much of that is going to start at the defensive end. Dolphins lead it by 5 now. Buntley out to Auer. Auer on the drive. Down goes Barnes. Offensive foul. Good defense from Stitchy Barnes. And the Dolphins will get it back, leading 9-4. Here's one more look. That's good defense by Stitchy Barnes. As Juliana Ditto will check in. Ditto will bring it up. This is Rose on the wing. Rose outside for Ditto. She gets the screen from Kane, met with a double. Kane with it now. Phelan open in the other corner. And Kane didn't see her as she traveled. Well, that's a missed opportunity there with Phelan wide open in the right corner. But Kane did get a good look. Unfortunately for Kane and the Dolphins, she traveled first. Dolphins still lead by 5 as we approach the midway point of the first quarter. Fontanillo, high pass, tipped and reeled in by Buntley. Back outside to Pikett, now Fontanillo. Fontanillo off the hesitation, feeds the cutting Chapman, and she goes high off glass. We mentioned that trio of Wildcats standing at 5'10" or taller. And off the double, Ditto turns it over. Buntley to the basket, can't get the lay-in. Good effort by Rose, but Pikett can't finish either. And Chapman is off the mark from in close. Well, the Wildcats have missed some chip shots as Rose couldn't reel in that pass. She finds Kane going to the basket. She rebounds her own miss. Phelan open. Off the fake. Can't hit the three, but Kane has another offensive board. How about this sequence? Both teams playing at a breakneck pace. The Wildcats missed 3 chip shots, and the Dolphins get a good look from the corner and couldn't convert. Now Edmonds had it poked away. Phelan left open again. Splash! Dana Phelan from downtown, and she has her first three-pointer. Dolphins lead it 12-6. And they have looked good early in this game as they nearly force a turnover. Rose on top of it. She's got it. And she finds Ditto. Long outlet. Tipped out of bounds by Chapman, who did well to hustle and prevent an easy basket. A much-needed media timeout for myself and for both of these teams. It's a good start for the Dolphins. They lead at 12-6. 3:38 to go in the first quarter. And we are back from the tank where the Dolphins have an early 6-point lead. And I'm not sure you could have drawn up a much better start if you're women's basketball head coach Nicole Sarcone. The Dolphins have played with some good pace. They've contested shots well around the rim and have dealt with the Wildcats' size very well early in this game. And I think perhaps that's given the Dolphins an advantage in transition as Phelan knocks down another 3. Dana Phelan with 5 3-pointers in CSI's last outing on Friday. She's picked up right where she left off against the Saints. Buntley can't answer back, and that one goes out of bounds. Here's one more look at Dana Phelan off the dribble. And if you force the Wildcats to contest Phelan out there off the dribble, that opens up opportunities for players inside like Barnes, Rose, Edmonds, and Kane, as Rose stepped on the sideline. Dolphins quickly turn it over. They still lead it by 9. Chapman spins against Phelan, can't finish. Another offensive board. That time it was Kaleri, but the Wildcats lost it along the baseline, and the Dolphins will get it right back. Dolphins will have Dana Phelan bring the ball up here. Now Ditto feeds Kane. Wildcats gambling a bit now with those traps beyond the three-point line as Kane banks it in. Dolphins have been as good around the basket as we've seen, and there's a defensive lapse right there. Hour left all alone, and Daemen quickly answers with 2 points of their own. Kane had it poked away, 15 to shoot. Now Rose on the wing. Chapman defending. Rose to the basket, and she's fouled. So Kyra will head to the line as we'll get a quick look at that last bucket by Racky Kane. Kane with a strong move high off the window. And Kyra Rose will head to the line for 2 shots. And the first free throw rattles out. Second free throw is good. And the Dolphins now lead by double figures for the first time. We're just 8 minutes in. As Pikett's three is no good. Rebound pulled in by Caleri. And that one's off Phelan's foot. It will stay Wildcats ball with 15 to shoot. Fontanillo inbounds to Auer, and she throws one off glass, no good. Dolphins quickly back the other way, Rose with it. Attacks to her left, and Rose banks it in. Strong move by Kyra Rose. And the Dolphins continue to feast in the paint. Phelan has provided a spark from downtown. Both Kane alone has hit a mid-range jumper. As a double dribble is called on Fontanillo. Dolphins continue to harass the Wildcats at the defensive end, and at the offensive end, we've seen a whole lot of this. Dolphins asserting their will around the basket right now. They've made shots at the rim difficult for the Wildcats and have taken it right to them at the offensive end. Phelan to Kane, off the head fake, she drives, feeds Edmonds, but is whistled for a charge. Dolphins very nearly adding 2 more easy points inside. But good defense by Daemen to get the whistle for the charge. Dorothy Weesey will check in. She had a nice game defensively against Deauville, but with the Dolphins trying to come back in that game, she came up with a blocked shot, got a bit too animated, and was whistled for a technical foul. And that was really the beginning of the Wildcats pulling away in that game. Pikett with it, 14 to shoot. Now Auer looking to back in again. And once again, can't get it to go off glass. Ditto tracks down the rebound in traffic. And we are under a minute to play in the opening quarter. Ditto for Phelan. Back to Ditto. Baseline drive, and she was fouled. And this one is headed for the camera. Unfortunately, the table right here to stop it. This one day where I'm more concerned about the people than the equipment. I know, it sounds cold, but we're always very conscious of the status of our equipment as Ditto misses the free throw. I always tell Nick when he or I are on the call, protect the equipment above all else. But today, of course, my concern with Nick. For those who missed the pregame, Nick not with me today. He was scheduled to be on the broadcast after missing Friday's game, but he got into a car accident on the way here. He is okay, but his vehicle was damaged and he could not make it here. He was about 5 minutes from campus as Fontanillo can't finish. And again, the Dolphins giving the Wildcats fits around the basket. Nothing has been easy at the rim for Daemen. And now CSI can hold for the final shot, leading by 13. Barnes almost had it taken away. She gets it to Phelan. 8 seconds to go in the quarter. Phelan finds Ditto for 3. Off the back rim, no good. 2 seconds for Edmonds. Weesey got it off. And I thought she might be claiming she got hit, but that will bring the first quarter to a close. And it is a good first quarter for the Dolphins. They lead it by 13 after 1. Our score, Staten Island 21 and Daemen 8. The second quarter coming up when we come back.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Second quarter about to get underway from the College of Staten Island, with the Dolphins leading 21-8 at the start of quarter number 2. And it was a great first quarter for the Dolphins. I'm not sure you could have drawn it up much better. But as we've learned covering these two teams, as CSI forces another turnover, Barnes off the feed from Edmonds, can't finish. Rose has the rebound and the putback. As I was about to say, as we've learned from covering these two teams, and I'm sure the Dolphins know this very well, no lead is safe against this Wildcat squad. And the Dolphins get the second off to a nice start, much like the first. Buntley off the entry pass, flips it in. How about that touch from Buntley? Effectively scooped it in over Edmonds, falling away from the basket. This is Barnes on the cut. And that's a nice feed by Shanye Edmonds. The Dolphins are not only playing fast in transition, they're playing fast in the half court as well. They are getting shots up quickly, taking advantage of that Wildcats trap on the perimeter. And Pikett can't finish, and she had it stripped away. And that time the outlet is tipped, but again, you can see Nicole Sarcone giving the thumbs up at the Dolphins bench. She likes that attempt to get the ball down the floor and to play quickly. And I think if you're a fan of CSI, you have to like the way they've attacked Daemen early in this game. You have to like the game plan and how it's been executed so far. The CSI lead is 15 points. This is Edmonds. Defended by Kaleri, and she goes right at her for 2 points at the rim. Shanye Edmonds with a strong move, and the Dolphins lead it by 17. Daemen has had no answers for the Dolphins in the paint. Buntley can't connect from distance, and Barnes has the rebound. And that pass stolen by Buntley. She had to scramble back to get it, and Weesey comes up with it. Rose to the basket, and she draws the foul. The Dolphins are playing with an energy that is really impressive considering they just played on Friday night. But Weesey down to the floor, able to retrieve it after Buntley failed to scoop it up, and she finds Rose, who drew the foul. First free throw from Rose is good, and the Dolphins lead it by 18. Second free throw by Rose is off the mark, rebounded by Kaleri. Dolphins by 18 with just shy of 8 minutes to go in the first half. Chapman cut off on the baseline by Edmonds. Her pass tipped and stolen. Good active hands by Edmonds. Long outlet to Barnes. Barnes right at Chapman. Banks it in. Stitchy Barnes with a strong finish at the rim. and the Dolphins lead it by 20. Daemen sending 3 new players to the scorer's table, looking for answers here in this first half. As Buntley can't hit the 3, Weesey with the rebound. Barnes taking her time. And when you build a lead of 20 plus, as Barnes threw it away, Pikett all over that pass, and she has the easy 2. Well, those are the turnovers that drive coaches crazy. But I was about to say, if you're the Dolphins, you don't want to get away from what you're doing. But when you're leading by 20 plus, as they turn it over again, you can afford to play a bit more slowly as Weesey gives the hard foul. And that's how you have to do it in that situation. If you don't get the flagrant, that's the right play. And we will get one more look at that. Here's a look. Can't give away those 2 points. That's a good play by Weesey. And the Wildcats now gambling a bit in the passing lanes. It's paid off the last couple of possessions. We've seen them trap on the perimeter. They've paid for that at points in this game, as the free throw is good by Jolene Raposo. One more here for Raposo. And she goes 1 of 2 from the line. Not sure where that horn came from. Barnes beats the double, finds Edmonds. How about that catch? Edmonds goes up to get it and lays it in. Edmonds goes up to get that one, looking like a receiver on Super Bowl Sunday. Good hands by Edmonds and a nice finish. Dolphins back in front by 19. And Raposo knocks down a 3. Jolene Raposo with a big basket to make it a 16-point game. Phelan uses the Weesey screen, is met with a double, and throws it away. Hour there, and she secures it. Well, the Dolphins have to be careful with the turnovers now. Those are piling up as Raposo is willing the Wildcats right back into this game. Timeout, Dolphins. Well, the Dolphins have done a lot of good things during this recent stretch, and we'll get a look at some of those here. Edmonds slipping to the basket all alone, and that's a product of that trap on the perimeter. If the Wildcats extend too far beyond the three-point line, the Dolphins are going to have those opportunities around the basket, and they're going to need to take advantage of those. However, the turnovers have been a problem for the Dolphins, as you'll see here. Stitchy Barnes coming across half court, had it poked away, and Raposo was met by Weesey. That turnover cost the Dolphins a point. But those are the mistakes you'll have to avoid moving forward in this game, and Raposo has been big for the Dolphins. Or I should say big for the Wildcats. Meanwhile, for the Dolphins, a big-time finish by Stitchy Barnes right here, right into the teeth of the Wildcats defense. Chapman draped all over her, and Barnes able to put it up and in. And the Dolphins still lead by 14. They led by as many as 20, and they have to be careful right here because the reason the Wildcats have been able to chip away these last couple of minutes is turnovers. It's one thing if you're continuing to get good looks, continuing to get inside, and are just unable to convert those. But when turnovers pile up and that's the reason that your lead is dwindling, that's something that you can't afford to have happen against a team of this caliber. The Dolphins were winning the turnover battle. They're not anymore. They've turned it over 9 times. The Wildcats just 7. CSI shooting 65% from the field so far. Daemen just 28. So you'd expect 65% not to be sustainable. And if you continue to turn it over, this game could change very quickly if you come down to earth shooting. The Wildcats continue to pressure, and a bit too aggressively as they're whistled for the foul. That's on Fontanillo, her second. Right now, she's the only player for either team with 2 fouls. Ditto inbounds to Kane, and Kane needs to go to work here, but she is stifled by Chapman. Now Ditto finds Rose. Rose tied up, and jump ball is called. And Rose snatches it away from Chapman. It is Wildcats' ball following the tie-up. So officially that will go down as another turnover. That's number 10 for CSI, and I mentioned in the pregame, they turned it over 21 times at Daemen. Reese Beaver checked in a bit earlier when the Wildcats made some wholesale changes, as Raposo's a bit strong on the pull-up. Ditto harassed and fouled. Morgan White also checked in when the Wildcats made some wholesale changes earlier. That last foul, the 3rd team foul on the Wildcats, and the Dolphins could be looking at a potential bonus situation late in the quarter. And that's always a bonus, no pun intended. Always a plus, we'll say. Phelan doubled, finds Kane. Now Rose dribbles out of traffic. Phelan with it. 12 to shoot. Phelan gets inside and puts the floater in. Dana Phelan with a strong take to the basket. As she worked her way through heavy traffic, and she started that possession in a double team, ends up scoring at the rim. Dolphins by 16. Fontanillo directing traffic, calls for a screen. She's left open for 3, and just a bit off. And Ditto is fouled, and we need a new whistle on this side. The whistle coming through so weakly that the players almost failed to hear it. But that foul is number 4 on Daemen. Four minutes to go in the half. The Dolphins lead at 34-18. Ditto with it. Back to the basket. Swings it to Edmonds. Now Kane, defended by Buntley, traveled. And that was going to be a good look for Phelan. Wildcats ball inside of 4 minutes to play. They trail by 16 points. Buntley hands off to Fontanillo. Big crossover. And she gets inside for the left-handed lay-in. That was a nice move by Fontanillo. And Raposo has to be careful here. She almost fouled Ditto. Now Phelan ahead to Edmonds, finds Rose, and Rose blows the layup. Well, that's one the Dolphins have to have. Here comes Fontanillo racing to the basket, can't finish. Rose with it. She has Edmonds. Edmonds to the basket, lays it in, and the Dolphins are back in front by 16. Dolphins have really executed well in transition. Off of missed shots, they have wasted no time getting the ball up the floor. Buntley at Edmonds, lays it in. Strong take there by Buntley. It seems like the Wildcats have found their footing offensively as Edmonds traveled. And you could see it there, gave it a bit of a skip step. Looked like she left 1 foot and then was whistled for the travel as that ball was coming my way. 2:40 to go in the half, Dolphins by 14. And I think the bare minimum if you're CSI is to keep the lead at least 10 points heading into halftime. Pikett on the drive, can't finish. Pikett's had a tough first half offensively. And the Dolphins turn it over again, Raposo with it. It's 3-on-1, Ditto contests Buntley, who lays it in. And it's now a 12-point game. Edmonds ahead, and Edmonds has 2 more. Shanye Edmonds the beneficiary of another long outlet pass. And the Dolphins have done well to find her waiting at the other three-point line on more than one occasion. Fontanillo off the spin, banks it in. Nice move there by Fontanillo. Dolphins lead by 12 again, and they nearly turned it over. Now Phelan with it, all alone for three. Splash! That's a big bucket for Dana Phelan and the Dolphins. Buntley right at Edmonds, and Edmonds with a strong contest sent Buntley to the floor. Dolphins have numbers, and Rose is stripped. Buntley is all alone, and Buntley will put it up and in. And I believe they got Buntley for a delay of game. That is a tough call, if that's what the call was. She tipped the ball toward the baseline, and I think they called delay of game. That's a tough one. As Phelan in trouble, gets it to Ditto. Phelan thought about it, goes up with it, and can't hit from way downtown. Buntley with the rebound. We're under a minute to go in the first half. Dolphins lead it by 13. You would think this is the final offensive possession for Daemen. See how much time they take here. Pikett is fouled, but the Dolphins have plenty to give. Coming up at the halftime break, I will be joined by women's basketball head coach Nicole Sarcone for the TLC Physical Therapy Halftime Report. Nicole will be on headset. As we see, was tripped on her way out. I don't know if Rose got her or if she stepped on the foot of a Wildcat, but she's having a good laugh about it. Pikett for three is short. And a foul was called underneath in pursuit of the rebound. So the Wildcats will keep it. That is the third Dolphins team foul. And I thought for a moment they were going to say that was in the act of shooting. And it will indeed be an inbound from the baseline. The Dolphins were lined up alongside the paint as if free throws were upcoming, but it's going to be a Wildcats inbound with 37 seconds on the clock and 20 to shoot. Ball outside with Pikett. She looks to drive, and the lefty lay-in is good. The Dolphin lead is now 11 points. And CSI very nearly turned it over. Phelan working against two Wildcats. If you get it in, that gives you a distinct advantage up the floor, but we saw the Wildcats harassing Phelan. Dolphins can hold for the final shot. We see turns it over. There was no need to rush into a post-up opportunity there, and now the Wildcats with a chance to make this a single-digit game, but can't do it. 8 seconds to go in the quarter. We see sends one into the crowd. The Wildcats left with 3.6 here. Dolphins have turned it over 13 times in the first half. Fontanillo ahead, and Beaver is rejected by Racky Kane. And with one more look at that last rejection, we will head to halftime. Our score at the break, the Dolphins 41 and the Wildcats 30. Our TLC Physical Therapy Halftime Report with women's basketball head coach Nicole Sarcone coming up. Another false teaser from us here on Sportsnet as Coach Sarcone and the Dolphins coaching staff head up to the locker room. That will send us to halftime. Once again, our score at the break, the Dolphins 41 and the Wildcats 30.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials, live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Joe Foreman back with you here on CSI Sportsnet as we get set to begin the third quarter from the College of Staten Island with the Dolphins leading the Wildcats 41-30. Dolphins putting together one of their best halves of the season during the first 20 minutes. And I mentioned it late in the second quarter. Is it sustainable? That is the big question. And right now it appears our scoreboard is reflecting the wrong quarter. So we'll try and get that fixed. Also, our shot clock reads 35. So I think we've lost connectivity to our scoreboard across the way. We'll hide the shot clock for now. I'm not sure what's going on there. But the action has resumed. And the Dolphins possess it first to begin half number 2. This is Rose on the drive. And she quickly will head to the free throw line. So it appears everything has resynced properly except the quarter. The shot clock is good. The time is good. So what we will do is go to our scoreboard and get rid of the period, though it does say 3. This is not an issue I have faced before. Rose at the line. Knocks down the first. Well, for now, we will get rid of this. Rose hits both, and the Dolphins go ahead by 13. Our live stats went down at the end of the first half and have not returned, so I don't have updated live stats as Buntley hits the jumper, and Daemen is quickly back to within 11. Dolphins almost gave it away on the inbound. Now they have numbers. Rose to Barnes, and Barnes puts up a tough shot and gets it to go. Stitchy Barnes with a tough finish along the baseline over a couple of Wildcats there. Buntley outside to Fontanillo. Fontanillo around the back, and she was fouled. Wildcats will inbound from the baseline with 8:57 to go in the third. Pikett defended by Phelan. Over to Fontanillo in the corner. She looks to drive. Feeds the cutting Pikett. And Pikett doesn't get the roll, but she will head to the free throw line for 2 shots. Our live stats still have not returned, so I'm anticipating that we will be without those the rest of the way. It's been a rough week over there at Sidearm with the live stats. And Pikett's first free throw is no good. And Pikett hits the second. Dolphins across the timeline. Phelan met with a double. Now Edmonds. Over to Rose. Rose crosses over out to Phelan. Phelan uses the Kane screen. Now 10 to shoot for Kane backing in. And she had it poked away. So I had it brought to my attention at halftime. We have some volunteer help in the building. I'll be joined by Chris Granozio of D2 East Hoops for the men's game. So I will have some color commentary for game 2. Barnes out to Phelan for 3. Too strong. And Chapman has the rebound. Fontanillo kicks out to a wide open Buntley, and she knocks it down from the corner. Dolphin lead down to single digits. They're in front by 9. Phelan has largely been tasked with bringing the ball up. He's done a pretty good job with it. This is Kane now, just beyond the free throw line. And Kane had it stripped away from behind. Jump ball is called, and possession belongs to the Wildcats. Well, the turnovers were piling up for the Dolphins late in that first half. And there were many dangerous passes that did not result in turnovers that very well could have been. And the Dolphins get one of their own now. Phelan open for three. Off the mark, but Barnes is there for the rebound. Now Rose along the baseline tied up. Back out to Barnes. She looks to drive and draws the foul. So Stitchy Barnes will head to the line for 2 shots. And the Dolphins did force their share of turnovers in the first half. But with the giveaways they piled up, they'll probably need a few more of those turnovers forced to maintain this lead. Said it late in the first half. Hard to imagine 65% or so shooting is sustainable. But you can continue to give the effort they have on defense and on the glass as Barnes misses the free throw. One more free throw for Barnes here, and she goes 1 of 2 from the line. Wildcats now worked it up the floor quickly, and a good job to get back and to tip that ball by Kane. Looked like Pikett had an easy 2, but not so as Kane gets there. Wildcats will inbound from the baseline with 25 on the shot clock. Pass goes to Buntley, and Edmonds with good defense there. Buntley did not really have much room to go up with that shot. Now Rose into the corner for Phelan. Phelan up top to Barnes. Once again, she looks to drive, and that's a bad pass. Buntley for Raposo, and Raposo very nearly traveled. Barely able to keep her foot anchored to the floor. Buntley now with it. Gains a step, and good help defense by Kane. And a whistle comes in. I would anticipate that was on Edmonds, but we'll wait and see. And actually, we won't see because we have no live stats. Buntley's free throw is good. Second attempt by Buntley also good. 2 for 2 from the line. And it's now an 8-point game as Juliana Ditto will check in. Rose with it. Being pressured by Pikett. She's across half court and fouled. That's Pikett's second and the team's third. So both teams now with 3 team fouls. And that's important to keep in mind, but still over 6.5 to play in the third. This is Edmonds, and she threw it away. And that's another unforced error that the Dolphins simply cannot afford. Kylie Chapman will check back in. Sophie Auer to the bench. .15 to shoot for the Wildcats. They trail by 8. Buntley goes to work on Rose. Off the fake. Can't finish. Dolphins once again making for a tough shot defensively. Now Rose all the way to the basket, draws the foul, and will head to the line. Free throws, such an important part of Kyra's game. Gets to the line plenty. And she misses the first. I would venture to guess that she sets the D2 record for free throws attempted in a season. I think she has to be closing in if she's not there already. And she goes 0 for 2 here. She does grab her own miss. Did well to stay in our frame there for a while, but back to the wide shot. 8 to shoot now. She's defended by Raposo. Now doubled at the free throw line and was stripped on the way up. But Raposo stepped on the baseline, and did they call a technical? We'll get a look at that on replay. Hopefully we captured the entire sequence. The referee is right in the view of our sideline camera. They're going to talk it over here, so we have a lot of time. Here's the play in regular speed. Raposo certainly stepped out of bounds, and Rose certainly pushed her. So I think the right call is probably Dolphins basketball and a technical foul on Rose, because she certainly pushed her. Now, whether or not you want to call that a common foul or a technical would depend on whether or not Raposo was out of bounds. But she was, and that makes it a dead ball foul, which would have to make it a technical. The officials still talking about it. Nicole Sarcone joining that discussion. Nate Putel also in on that discussion. We'll slow it down one more time. Yeah, Raposo clearly steps out, and Rose clearly shoved her. Now, the question is, how much did the shove affect the play? I think it was enough to warrant a whistle. I really do. And it wasn't necessary either, because the whistle had come in long before the shove occurred. First free throw good for Raposo. And she goes 2 for 2 from the line. Well, those are 2 points that if you're the Dolphins, you hate to give away. And not only did you give away the 2 points on the technical free throws, but they gave away possession as well. So that is a costly mistake. It's now just a 6-point game. Still nearly 6 minutes to play in the quarter. Buntley backing in, finishes a tough shot, and the Dolphin lead has been cut to 4. Rose with it, threw it away, Buntley's got it. Kane, the only Dolphin there, and Buntley can't finish, but she grabs her own miss. Ditto altered the shot, and the second try draws the whistle. The Wildcats contingent in the crowd making some noise now as Daemen is nearly all the way back. Here's one more look at that sequence. Dolphins did well to force 2 misses, but could not secure the rebound. Buntley to the line for 2 shots, her team trailing 46-42. And Buntley's free throw is good. And Buntley is 2 for 2 from the line, and the Dolphin lead is now just a pair. Daemen has outscored CSI 14-5 here in the third quarter. as we reach the midway point in quarter number 3. And Ditto was fouled. That is the 15th foul on the Wildcats. And following a media timeout, Juliana Ditto will head to the line. We have reached the 5-minute mark in the third. Dolphins holding on to a 2-point lead. And we are back from the tank, where Juliana Ditto heads to the line for 2 shots and hits the first. That extends the Dolphin lead back to 3. Ditto's second free throw is also good, and the Dolphins lead by 4. Wildcats up the floor quickly off the inbound. The Dolphins did well to get into position defensively. Chapman swings it to Auer, feed inside to Buntley. Buntley into the corner, Raposo. Too strong from 3, but Auer has the rebound. Fresh 20 for the Wildcats as Buntley can't hit the 3. But another offensive board goes to Chapman, and Auer was blocked by the combination of Phelan and Ditto. Well, I've said it all game. The Dolphins have really made life difficult in the paint for Daemen in terms of the Wildcats scoring around the basket. And Auer lost it. And the officials are conferring. It will stay Wildcats ball. Uncertainty always draws the ire of the crowd, whether they get it right or not. The aspiring officials in the stands making their voices heard. Again, they feed it inside off the inbound. No good by Chapman. And she was fouled on the way back down to the floor. So that's the 15th foul on the Dolphins. And Chapman will head to the line for 2 shots. Free throw rattles out for Chapman, and it stays a 4-point game. The 2 teams have piled up fouls very quickly here in the third. Still plenty of time left in the quarter, and both sides are in the bonus. Chapman goes 1 of 2 to make it a 3-point game. As Rose finds Phelan at half court. Rose ended up on the floor. We see out to Phelan, now Rose. Rose to the basket, lays it in. Another strong move by Kyra Rose. She certainly does not shy away from contact as Edmonds tipped that pass, and Auer stays with it and banks it in. Dolphins lead by 3 again. Phelan left open. In and out, but Ditto has the rebound. Edmonds all alone on the baseline. Moved into a contest and couldn't finish. Rebound snatched in by Pikett. I don't know if Edmonds realized how open she was. 3.5 to go in the quarter. Dolphins lead by 3. Raposo uses the screen up top, gets to the basket, and draws the foul on Weesey. So Jolene Raposo will head to the line with a chance to make it a 1-point game. Raposo's first free throw is good. Julia Fontanillo just checked back in. And I do believe I mispronounced her first name during starting lineup, so I apologize for that. When you don't think you need the pronunciation guide, sometimes you get caught. And I think I got caught during introductions. Just over 3 minutes to play in the quarter. Dolphins lead by 1. We see hands off to Rose, 12 to shoot now. Rose defended well beyond the arc by Chapman. Rose kicks out to Phelan, off the fake. Phelan tries the three. She is fouled, and it almost went down. Phelan will head to the line for 3 shots here. And for the second consecutive game, she came close to an opportunity for a 4-point play. She did have the opportunity in the last game. And the first free throw goes. Fortuitous bounce there for Phelan. She's now 2 for 2. One more coming. And Phelan goes a perfect 3 for 3 from the line. Dolphins back ahead by 4. Buntley had it poked away. She dribbles back outside with 14 to shoot. Entry pass tipped and stolen by Weesey. Her outlet was tipped and stolen by Fontanillo. Raposo met by Weesey and fouled. Weesey once again denying an easy basket. She was 1 on 3 defensively. That is Weesey's 3rd foul, and it will send Raposo back to the line at this end of the floor. Raposo a bit shaken up. Her first free throw is good. Second free throw off back iron and rebounded by Rose. Dolphins with a chance to push. And they throw it away right to Fontanillo. She was all over that one. Fontanillo's floater won't go. And Ditto has the long rebound. Here come the Dolphins again. And we'll get back to the correct camera view. I apologize for that, as the Dolphins fail to score in transition. A lot of free throws in this 3rd quarter when you're doing the job of commentary and engineering. It's easy to forget that camera switch. This game was played at a breakneck pace in the 1st quarter. It slowed down a lot with the whistles here in the 3rd. Hour inside, can't bank it in. And the Dolphins now stringing together some stops. Their lead remains 3 points, just over 90 seconds to play in the 3rd. Edmonds throws it away. And the turnovers for the Dolphins at times in this game have been sloppy, and that's always a concern. But the turnovers in the half court, where you simply throw the ball straight out of bounds, a player perhaps, for lack of a better phrase, zigging when you expect them to zag. Those drive coaches crazy. And the Dolphins can't afford many more of those in a 3-point game. As Fontanillo gets inside for the easy lay-in, It's now a 1-point game. Just over a minute to go in the third. The Dolphins lead by 1. Rose finds Phelan for 3. Too strong. And now Daemen has it in transition with a chance to take the lead. Fontanillo surveys now Pikett. Back out to Buntley. Buntley given room. Can't give Daemen the lead. And that air ball is rebounded by Chapman, who draws the foul. Kaleri was waiting, rebounded the miss, and then her air ball was taken by Chapman, who will head to the line for 2 shots and a chance to give Daemen the lead. First free throw, no good. Again, live stats are down. We don't have an official free throw tally at the moment, and we still don't. I'll have to tell Lou to run me over some stats at the end of the quarter. And that's an air ball on the second free throw. So Chapman goes 0 for 2, and the Dolphins maintain the lead. Just over 40 seconds to play here in the third. Dolphins by 1. Phelan with it. Hands off to Ditto for 3. Air ball. Barnes there, and she has the rebound. Tiptoes the baseline. And now Barnes off the fake. Finds Ditto again. Splash! It's a GD3 from the corner. And the Dolphins lead it by 4. Final seconds of the quarter, and a moving screen is called. And I don't have an official foul tally. It was on Fontanillo. I know Buntley has at least 2 or 3 fouls. But without the live stats, can't say definitively. 6 seconds to go in the quarter. Barnes hands off to Phelan. She looks up at the game clock. Phelan puts up an air ball. And that will do it for the third quarter. We are through 30 minutes from the tank, and the Dolphins have the lead as we head to quarter number 4. Our score, Staten Island 56 and Daemen 52. All right, Joe Foreman back with you from the tank. We have to wait for our Flow audience for about 30 seconds here. Some of our audience still in a commercial timeout, but the fourth is about to get started from the College of Staten Island. And when our audience that is in an ad break returns, we have the box score through 3 quarters, courtesy of our statisticians Louis Matrone and Joe Calabrese on the other side of the floor. And we welcome back our audience that was in an ad break in between quarters. As I mentioned to the audience contingent that did not get an ad break, we do have the box score through 3 quarters. We'll run through some of those stats once we have a stoppage. The important number right now is the score up on the board with the Dolphins leading 56-52. CSI in this game still shooting 53%. The Wildcats just 33%. Turnovers, however, have been a massive problem for the Dolphins. They've turned it over 23 times. The Wildcats just 10. 10 to shoot now for CSI. Rose off the Ditto screen. Kicks out. Ditto for three. A bit too strong, and Barnes is there for the strong rebound. As she went down hard, the official lost his whistle. I'm not sure if he realizes. There it is. We had a malfunctioning whistle, and now a whistle coming undone. Dolphins will inbound from the baseline with 20 to shoot. Rose the inbounder. Up top to Edmonds. Rose with it back off the handoff. She looks to drive, and with the left hand, scoops it in. Another strong finish by Kyra Rose. Fontanillo finds a wide open Parisi underneath. Caleri, excuse me. Trying to clip a replay and get to my roster at once. Didn't quite go my way that time, but Caleri with the finish. And now Pikett with the steal. Pikett met by Edmonds. Can't finish at the rim. It has been a rough shooting game for Pikett. And Ditto is fouled at half court. Here's one more look at that last finish by Kyra Rose. Rose getting right to the basket. Great body control, able to absorb the contact as well and put it up and in. Ditto the inbounder, finds Edmonds for the jumper, and Edmonds is off. That's a shot Edmonds rarely misses, that mid-range jumper from the corner. Poso for Chapman. Now Buntley up top, swings it. Fontanillo for Pikett. Off the fake, she gains a step. Now tied up, sends it outside. 5 to shoot. Fontanillo off the fake, steps through, can't finish. Good contest by Edmonds, and that shot did not hit the rim. It is a shot clock violation. Dolphins have stepped up their defense late in that third quarter and now early in the fourth. They've had more than one good defensive sequence. At times have had trouble closing it out with rebounds, but for the most part, they've been good at that end of the floor. Dolphins also with an advantage on the glass, 36-25. 10 to shoot now. Barnes finds Edmonds in the other corner, and Chanier can't hit once again. Ditto with the rebound. Her pass came out a bit awkwardly, but Phelan has it. And Phelan with a pinpoint pass. Edmonds can't finish. And Raposo's got it. What a feed by Phelan. I thought for sure she had thrown it away. It was a perfect pass that hit Edmonds in stride, but Edmonds couldn't convert the layup. Dolphins have seen some good opportunities gone by here in the fourth quarter. They could be leading by more than 4 as Pikett had it poked away from behind. Another good defensive play by the Dolphins leaves Daemen with just 9 to shoot. Feed to Buntley, and Buntley threw up a wild shot. That one didn't have much of a chance. Didn't take her time there. Now Phelan for Ditto. Ditto cross court to Rose. Buntley wasn't looking, and Rose lost the ball. It will stay with CSI. Racky Kane will check in for Dana Phelan here. And you'd suspect that it won't be a long breather for Dana Phelan. Dolphins with a big opportunity here. The Wildcats have gone cold from the field. Dolphins have played well defensively in this quarter. They could really use a bucket in this spot. Edmonds, short from the free throw line, but CSI has another offensive board. Rose to an open Edmonds, and she draws the foul. So Edmonds, who's had 3 good looks from the mid-range in this quarter and has not hit any of them, will head to the line for 2 shots here. And that foul on Daemen is their third team foul as well, so that's something to keep in mind. Free throw by Edmonds, way off. It's been a rough stretch for Edmonds, at the offensive end anyway. She continues to play the strong defense around the rim that we're accustomed to seeing, but has one more shot coming here and goes 1 for 2 from the line. Dolphins by 5. 6:45 to play here in the fourth quarter. Raposo looking, has Buntley. Buntley on the drive, met by Edmonds, who stripped it away. And the Dolphins give it right back. Raposo over Edmonds and in. That is another just terrible turnover by the Dolphins. They had the numbers and they just rushed it a bit too much. Raposo has had her fingerprints all over this game as well. As Barnes will try the pull-up, she's short. And Raposo has the rebound, but she traveled. So the Dolphins get a break there. And they will inbound from the baseline with 20 on the shot clock and 6:05 to play. Now, I would presume there should be 30 if Raposo possessed it long enough to travel, but I guess not. Ditto has to chase it down near half court as we reach the 6-minute mark here in the fourth. Barnes for Ditto, and Raposo playing physical defense. As Pikett poked it away, Kane scoops it up. Edmonds open again and does not get the roll. Down goes Rose, and it is a jump ball call. Possession arrow favors the Wildcats, and Rose is slow to get up. She went down hard. And that is the right call. The ball was definitely grabbed by Rose and then pinned in between her hands there. You'll see it right here. But the Wildcats come across half court with just over 5.5 to play, trailing by 3. Pikett. Bounce pass, Chapman. Oh, Chapman got away with a travel, and she did not. They do call it from the opposite side of the floor, surprisingly. I don't think she expected the double. So with the turnover in the front court, that's the reason the shot clock stayed at 20. As Rose barely able to bring that one in. And she is whistled for a charge. Rose didn't like it. The crowd, particularly the Fanatics, didn't like it. And here's one more look at it. Tough to make an assertion without slowing it down. But no time for that with just over 5 minutes to play. And the Dolphins clinging to a 3-point lead. Raposo, defended by Ditto, crosses over. Now feeds Chapman out to Pikett. Pikett hands off to Auer. She looks to drive. Her floater won't go. She grabs her own miss and draws a foul. And I've said that many times in this game. The Wildcats go up with a shot, grab their own miss. I think for the taste of the Dolphins coaching staff, it's been the shooter grabbing their own miss a bit too often. And that does happen sometimes when you get going downhill with a head of steam. Gives you that opportunity to grab your own miss, as the free throw by Auer is good to make it a 2-point game. Another factor as well is when the Dolphins have looked to push it up the floor quickly, you have players on the perimeter leaking up the floor, and you don't get those players crashing for the rebound as you would in a normal circumstance as the Dolphins turn it over again. And that is a completely unforced error. pass just a bit off the mark for Phelan and over the sideline. Daemen has not led since the opening minutes, and they go in front by a pair with that three by Buntley. And the Dolphins throw it away for a second consecutive possession. Just a bad sequence for the Dolphins. First the three, and then the turnover, as we will head to a timeout with under 5 minutes to play. Buntley from beyond the arc knocks it down, and the Dolphins just threw it away there. Rose had room, and the pass just was not there for her. 4:47 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Wildcats have their first lead since the opening minutes. Our score, Daemen 61 and Staten Island 59. .447 to go from the College of Staten Island, and the Wildcats have surged in front here in the fourth quarter. They lead by 2. Dolphins have led for almost the entire game up until about 20 seconds ago, and they now trail by 4. Another easy 2 off the inbound for the Wildcats. The Dolphins have seen that look several times already as Ditto traveled. Well, if the Dolphins do not win this game, the reason why is going to be turnovers. So with under 5 to play previously, a timeout had been called. We are now headed to a media timeout. So with 4:34 to go, we step aside for another break, potentially our last. Our score, the Wildcats 63 and the Dolphins 59. Just over 4.5 to play from the tank, where the Dolphins now trail by 4. It is Daemen basketball. They feed it inside to Buntley, and her bank shot is good. Daemen in front by 6. The Dolphins still have time, but they need to regain their composure and take care of the basketball. Kane for 3. Splash! And that is a huge shot by Raki Kane. Kane does not shoot many threes, and that is one that Kane and this Dolphins team had to have. Wildcats lead cut in half. They're in front by 3. 14 to shoot for Daemen. Fontanillo up top, directing traffic. Gets a screen from Auer. 5 to shoot now. Fontanillo, bounce pass for Pikett. It's tipped and stolen, but Rose stepped on the baseline with 1 on the shot clock. I think it goes without saying here that the Dolphins cannot afford to give up a clean look at the basket. And they've reset the shot clock. Well, let's see if we have a look at whether or not that should be the case. So the in-tight look isn't great. The high angle a bit better. Did Rose possess the ball? There's a look at our old school replay. I don't know about that. Well, they've put 30 on the shot clock. And now they've set it to 20. That's a tough break for the Dolphins there. Buntley backing in on Phelan. Draws the foul and will head to the line. And you can see it. Buntley has made a concerted effort to try and take this game over offensively. Every time she's touched it, she's tried to bully her way to the basket. Each side with 3 fouls in this fourth quarter as Buntley hits the first free throw. Entering the quarter, the teams were 12 of 19 and 12 of 18 from the line. Dolphins were the 12 of 19, Daemen the 12 of 18, as Buntley goes 2 for 2. The lead is now 5, and the Dolphins are not giving Phelan anywhere to go with the ball. I mean, they just got that in, but they were initially positioned in no spot to receive a pass as Rose is fouled, and that will be the 4th team foul on the Wildcats. So with the Dolphins having a slow quarter offensively in terms of scoring, the Wildcats now have put them 1 foul away from the bonus. As the Dolphins take timeout with 3:21 to go, we will stay right here. It is going to be a 30-second timeout for CSI. Now, I believe they called timeout before a whistle, which means there was not a foul there. So both sides still have 3 team fouls. But that 30-second timeout called by CSI leaves them with just 1 timeout remaining. And that is going to be key down the stretch as well. In the women's game, of course, timeouts do advance the ball. And if it comes down to 1 possession late in the game, that timeout they just burned could prove to be costly. That being said, this possession, an important one. The Dolphins will inbound with 21 on the shot clock, trailing by 5. Our score, 67-62. The inbound goes to Rose. Rose defended by Chapman. She wants a screen. Edmonds provides it. Rose out to Ditto, and once again, Fontanillo all over that pass. We've seen that more than once. She's been in the passing lanes, especially here in the second half. Rose with it again, 4 to shoot. Rose drives. Kane open for 3. Short, but Rose has the rebound, and she is fouled. And that will be the 4th team foul on the Wildcats with 2:57 to play. And I think they announced that as Pikett's 4th. But again, we're without live stats. And she did enter the quarter with 3 personal, so that is her 4th. Phelan dribbles back outside. Now Rose. She uses the Edmonds screen. Kane in the corner, looking to back in, finds room and is short on the jumper. Did Pikett touch that? And the official says no. Won't have time to get a look at it, but I'm trying to get a look on the monitor. That is awfully close. Just over 2.5 to play. Fontanillo is fouled on the drive, and we'll head back to the free throw line. Dolphins had 41 points at halftime, and they sit at 62. First free throw for Fontanillo is short. So at the very least, the Dolphins, assuming a rebound off a miss, will get it back in a 2-possession game with 2.5 to play, but the sense of urgency has drastically risen now as Fontanillo goes 1 for 2, and the Wildcats lead by 6. Rose will bring it up. Defended by Chapman. Rose gains a step, gets inside, and puts it in. Big basket for Kyra Rose. And the Dolphins are within 4 with just over 2 minutes to play. Chapman on the wing. Dangerous pass off the face of Buntley, who tries a 3 and is just short. Ball loose in the corner and tracked down by Ditto. Under 2 minutes to play, and the Dolphins trail by 4. This is Kane. Out to Ditto. Ditto had it poked away. Gets a screen from Kane. Kane now has room. Thought about the 3. Ditto with it, 8 to shoot. Edmonds is blocked by Buntley, and Edmonds gets it back. 2 to shoot. Edmonds puts it up and in. Shanye Edmonds recovers following the blocked shot and scores to make it a 2-point game. 68-66 our score with just over a minute to play. Fontanillo gets the screen from Buntley. She backs in on Phelan. She's doubled. She's in trouble, and she traveled. The Dolphins will get it back, trailing by 2 with 1:02 remaining. The CSI defense coming up big yet again down the stretch as Rose receives the inbound with under a minute to go. What a game this has been. Nicole Sarcone passing along the play call to Rose alongside the Dolphins bench. 15 on the shot clock. And the Dolphins, with the time they've taken here, unlikely to get a 2-for-1. Rose spins. Rose puts it in. And the score is tied at 68. And the Dolphins do get a 2-for-1 with that basket as well, as the Wildcats call timeout. Kyra Rose with a big game once again comes up with a huge bucket as Daemen calls timeout following this game-tying layup by Rose. Our score all knotted up at 68, and the Dolphins have scored the last 6 points. Daemen will have it with 31.4 on the clock. And the Dolphin defense late in this game came up with the big stops. Much of the damage by the Wildcats in recent minutes has come at the free throw line. And the Dolphins have come to life offensively at the other end. It hasn't always looked pretty, especially the sequence with the blocked shot on the attempt by Edmonds. Here's a look at that sequence again. Edmonds gets blocked, battles Buntley for the ball, retrieves it, gets inside, and puts it in as the shot clock expires. That was a big one for Edmonds and the Dolphins. Meanwhile, since I have it queued up, here's one more look in slow motion at that ball that I thought may have been tipped. And that's a bit too late as I was scrubbing it manually. There's one look at it for what it's worth. But I had that one in the replay queue as well, so I figured, let's take a look at it. Under 30 seconds to play, about a 6-second differential between shot and game clock. Fontanilla for Chapman. Now Auer, defended by Weesey. This is Pikett. Rose defending. Now 5 to shoot. Pikett uses the screen. Crosses over. Is stripped. And Weesey gets on top of it, as that will be a shot clock violation. The Dolphins will use their final timeout with 6.2 remaining and will have a chance to win it in the final seconds. Here is one more look at that defensive sequence as Pikett got tied up, had nowhere to go, and Daemen commits the shot clock violation. Great defensive sequence from the Dolphins once again, as always, diving for that loose ball. Have to be careful not to land on top of a body and get whistled for a cheap foul, but the Dolphins do well to come up with another big stop in a late game situation, and now they will have a chance to win it with 6.2 remaining as they advance the ball with their final timeout. And I think given what we saw last time down the floor, the opportunity has to be given to Kyra Rose. Here's one more look at what she did with her last opportunity. Rose straight into the teeth of the Daemen defense, able to lay it in off the spin move. And with a skill set like that, I think you have to put the ball in her hands here. Priority number one is get the ball in bounds. The shot clock has been turned off. 6.2 remaining. Phelan, the inbounder. And timeout has been called by the Wildcats. It's going to be a 30-second timeout called by Daemen, so more time for the Dolphins to talk it over and more time for the Wildcats to react to what they saw. Now, for our coaches watching at home, here's a look at how the Dolphins were set up ahead of the inbound. So when the timeout came in right here, this is how the Dolphins were set up. So take from that what you will. But the Dolphins now will inbound with 6.2 remaining. Phelan remains the inbounder. Same setup for CSI. Rose receives the inbound pass. 5 seconds to go. Rose off the crossover. Kicks it. Ditto for the win! No good! And we are headed to overtime. The Dolphins get a good look as Rose drew attention from the Wildcats defense and found the open shooter in the corner. Here's one more look. Rose uses the Edmonds screen and immediately commanded attention from 3 Wildcats inside the free throw line. Ditto had an opportunity to win it, could not connect from the corner. And we are headed for 5 minutes of free basketball. Overtime between the Dolphins and Wildcats gets underway shortly. We will stay right here on CSI Sportsnet as these two teams in the midst of a classic. I do have stats as well, courtesy of Joe Calabrese, acknowledging his CFO. I don't know if that came over the microphone, but we do have nicknames that go around the building, and mine is Chief Foreman Osborne, the CFO. So I get my stats, and looking at the box score, the Dolphins with a distinct advantage on the glass, 44-33. The Dolphins still with an advantage in terms of shooting, 46-36. That number, however, did drop significantly in the second half, and despite that, the CSI defense coming up huge in key spots down the stretch in this game. And that ultimately was a difference maker because Daemen led it by 6. They were in front with about, I think it was under 3 minutes to play, by 6 points, and the Dolphins held them without any points for the rest of the way. We officially enter overtime, and the Dolphins control it as they're going to adjust the clock here. Dolphins will inbound from directly to my left, as we'll get the shot clock back up on the screen as well. Phelan for Rose. Off the fake, back out to Phelan. Phelan on the drive, puts it up, and can't put it in as they call that one out of bounds off the Dolphins. I'm not sure if perhaps Edmonds landed on the baseline, but either way, it is Daemen basketball. Fontanillo swings it to Buntley. Buntley off balance, knocks it down. Looked like Buntley didn't really have her footing ahead of that shot as Phelan just got it in. Just over 4 minutes to play in overtime. Phelan harassed by Raposo. Hands off to Rose. Rose looking, 15 to shoot. She gets a screen from Edmonds. Auer picks her up on the switch, and Phelan has it go straight through her hands. Phelan was open. And, you know, our crew sharing their thoughts with me from across the way, and what a day for overtime. Super Bowl Sunday. I had forgotten this game was so good. But there is a game at 6 o'clock. Auer with it. Now Buntley. Buntley steps back and comes up just short. Off the front rim, the Dolphins have the rebound. Edmonds will bring it across the timeline with under 3.5 to play. Weesey for Rose. Rose entry pass to Kane. She has a mismatch and is whistled for the offensive foul. Nicole Sarcone couldn't believe it. Frankly, neither could I. Let's get one more look. Those are always tough to call when a player has a big size mismatch, and I don't like that one personally. I know we'll get the accusations of home commentators' bias, but I didn't like that call. Didn't like that call. Wildcats by 2, over 3 minutes to play here in overtime. Raposo with it, and she was a key catalyst in this Daemen comeback along with Buntley. This is Auer, back out to Buntley. Buntley, and a moving screen was called. And I couldn't help but note the reaction from Nate Butel over at the bench. He couldn't believe it. Now, if I didn't speculate that that could be a makeup call, I don't think I'd be doing my job. So I'll throw that out there once and let the audience decide as Rose lost it and the Dolphins turn it over. Here come the Wildcats. Raposo for Auer, and she lays it in to make it a 4-point game. I said it during the fourth quarter. If the Dolphins do not win this game, turnovers will be the reason why. Phelan left open for 3. Splash! A huge three-pointer for Dana Phelan. The Dolphins will not go away in this game. When they've played from behind 2 possessions, they've quickly answered, and it's now a 1-point game. Fontanillo for Raposo. 10 to shoot, just over 2 minutes to go in overtime. Fontanillo, defended by Ditto, gets inside and lays it in. Ditto pleading for some help on that drive. And now she has it across half court. .140 to go. Edmonds with it. Now Phelan. And the Dolphins almost turned it over again, but Weesey was fouled. Both teams are in the bonus. Stitchy Barnes will check in. Juliana Ditto to the bench. And for Dorothy Weesey, 2 huge free throws coming up. And Weesey hits the first. And Weesey off on the second. Rose in there for the rebound, but couldn't bring it in before stepping on the baseline. So the Weesey free throw makes it a 2-point game. Just over a minute and a half to go here in overtime. And Fontanillo lost it, and Barnes, diving after the loose ball, commits the foul. And that's the right call. I don't know if the Dolphins realized she had lost the ball soon enough after it happened. But that ball was loose for a fair amount of time there, and now Daemen will have a chance to make this a 2-possession game at the free throw line. Two big free throws for Fontanillo, as Juliana Ditto will check back in for Stitchy Barnes. And the first free throw is good. That makes it a 3-point game with 1:25 remaining. And the second is off back iron and rebounded by the Dolphins. 1:20 to go. Daemen by 3. Rose attacking, fakes, and can't finish. It's loose, and it will stay Dolphins ball. Dolphins were pleading for a whistle there, didn't get it. As we'll get one more look at that attempt by Rose. Dolphins will inbound with 20 on the shot clock and 1:13 remaining. CSI with 1 timeout, Daemen with 3. Edmonds dribbled it off her foot, but Ditto has it. Now 12 to shoot, Rose with it. Rose on the drive, tied up and fouled. 1 minute on the clock in overtime, and Kyra Rose will head to the line for 2 huge free throws. Stitchy Barnes back in for Juliana Ditto. First free throw by Rose is too strong. This one is huge. You hate to need a 3 late in the game, and the Dolphins may very well need one if Rose misses here. And she goes 0 for 2 from the stripe, and that hurts if you're the Dolphins. You're going to need a stop here, as Daemen will call timeout. It's going to be a 30-second timeout for Daemen, but we will stay right here, as the Dolphins had a huge opportunity from the free throw line and simply could not knock down either of the 2 free throws. I mentioned the free throw numbers previously. We did get numbers through 4 quarters. The Dolphins were 13 of 21, and Daemen was 17 of 24. In regulation, the Dolphins committed 30 turnovers, and I've said it several times already. If they do not win this game, turnovers will be the reason why. The missed free throws hurt, but they did just about everything else they needed to do. They were efficient from the field. They held Daemen through regulation under 36% shooting. They forced 17 turnovers. They won the battle on the boards. They were a plus 11 in regulation, but the turnovers produced a minus 13, and it's not often you win when you're a minus 13 on turnovers. Dolphins need a stop here, trailing by 3. As we've reached the final 40 seconds, 10 to shoot now for the Wildcats. Fontanillo finds Buntley for 3. Buntley can't hit. Rose has the rebound, and the Dolphins call for timeout. I said it at the end of regulation. Down the stretch of the fourth quarter, the Dolphins came up with big stop after big stop after big stop. They trailed by 6 and did not allow Daemen to register a point, I believe, for nearly 3 minutes to conclude regulation. And now, here in overtime, the Dolphins will get it, trailing by 3 with 33.4 on the clock. At the end of regulation, see if we can find the play that they drew up for the win. It's going to take some digging, but it was Kyra Rose given the opportunity to make the play. They put the ball in her hands. As you'll see here, this is the full final sequence of the game. The inbound is coming from off your screen, and we may have to cut away as the teams are out of the timeout. But it was Rose given the opportunity to make the right play, and she found Juliana Ditto in the corner. The 3 would not go, and the Dolphins headed to overtime. They now have it down 3. Rose with it in her hands, and time running off the clock here. Phelan from way downtown puts up an air ball, and that might do it. Phelan shot that from so far behind the arc, she might not be in the frame. Here's a look. Jolene Raposo to the line, needing just one free throw to make it a 2-score game. And she misses the first. So if Raposo does not hit the second, the Dolphins will have 18.2 in a 3-point game. If she hits this, the Dolphins need to hurry. And they indeed will need to hurry. As a timeout is called by the Wildcats, it will be a 30-second timeout. Or at least the announcement was to the contrary. So it is going to be a 30-second timeout based on the signal. And they fixed that over public address. So we'll stay right here. 18.2 on the clock. Daemen leads Staten Island by 4. The shot clock has been turned off. And for the Dolphins, this one is shaping up to be a heartbreaking defeat, especially if they do not score here. However, there is more than enough time to get 2 possessions. So if you're CSI, you can go for the quick 2. If they choose to go for 3, it's a bucket you have to have. Maybe you're left with a second or 2 to try and force a turnover, but beyond that, you'll have to foul. And then potentially have to go a long way after Daemen free throws. But the timeout was by the Wildcats. The ball does not advance. They get it into Rose. 15 seconds remaining. Rose hands off to Ditto. Ditto to Weesey. Weesey for Phelan. Phelan throws one up and banks it in! Dana Phelan from downtown with 6.2 remaining. The Dolphins were headed nowhere on that possession. They get it to Phelan, and she banks it in. So you're saying there's a chance with 6.2 remaining as Dana Phelan hits a circus shot from way downtown. Pike it all over her, and Phelan banks it in. This has been, I think it's fair to say, an all-time classic here on Sportsnet. It's a shame I've had to call this one alone. But Once again, there is 6.2 remaining, and the Dolphins will have to foul if they do not force an immediate turnover. And as I said before, should the Dolphins score and have a chance down one possession, they will need to go a very long way off of a Wildcats free throw. You'd love to get the turnover in this spot. And Buntley receives the inbound. Foul's called on Weesey. So Buntley to the line, 2 shots, 5.8 remaining. And the way the Wildcats have harassed the Dolphins on inbound passes, you're almost in a situation where I know Nicole Sarcone has something diagrammed to contend with that, but you're really hoping, I think you're hoping they miss the second, especially after making the first. But sometimes the time you lose grabbing the rebound proves costly. And we'll see if Buntley can convert here. And she can. It's a 3-point game. Will Daemen foul? Up 3. Will Daemen foul? I think I'm inclined to say if the Dolphins cross half court, you can't give them a shot at this. Rose looks up, calls for Phelan. Phelan with 1 second for the tie! No good off the back rim, and that will do it. Phelan just off the mark from nearly half court, and the Dolphins suffer a heartbreaking defeat here at home as they fall 78-75. I am shocked that the Wildcats allowed Phelan a chance to shoot there, and she just missed. A collective holding of the breath here in the tank as the Dolphins fall just short at the buzzer. Our final score, the Wildcats 78 and the Dolphins 75. Coming up next, men's basketball as CSI takes on Daemen once again in the back half of this East Coast Conference doubleheader. This has been Joe Foreman on the call. We thank everyone who chose to spend the early portion of their Super Bowl Sunday with us. We invite you to join us yet again as the men take the court coming up in approximately 30 minutes. I have a pregame to get ready for. I'll be joined by Chris Granozio of D2 East Hoops for game number 2. That broadcast gets underway in about 20 minutes, so be sure to join us back here on CSI Sportsnet, as always, streaming exclusively on Flow College.